So here I am thinking we need to let the dust settle, right? Biden is out, Trump is in, and we need to let the dust settle. Let things kind of take their natural place. And then I thought about it and I said, we got 4 years of this. If I wait for the dust to settle, I mean, is there going to be any land left? Right? Of course, your man Diamond K in here, the Diamond K Show, ONFIRE-broadcasting.com, the diamondkshow.com. So a lot of things that we need to unpack. We have obviously a new administration, new but old, right? We've seen this before. We've been down this path before. Yet, here we are. Trump's executive orders and the continued crackdown on DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. A lot of folks with a lot of different thoughts about this. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, and executive orders. Oh, yeah, he's been unloading on the executive orders. So, what exactly are we talking about? Some people don't know. Everybody doesn't know what an executive order is. So, according to the Administration for Strategic Preparedness and Response, executive orders, also known as EOs, are directives issued by the White House to guide the executive branch of the United States government. Now, I'm sure you heard folks talk about this before, executive order. They have the effect of law and are based either on powers granted to the president in the Constitution or related to laws passed by Congress. So this is a tool, this is a mechanism that presidents have used to essentially bypass Congress. So we're going to get into these executive orders that Donald Trump signed. President Donald Trump's executive orders, the 2025 edition. So it declared a national emergency at the U.S.-Mexico border, deploying troops and expanding border barriers. You know, I mean, this is the president that's going to, be the president that keeps us out of wars. Although some of the steps that he's taking could very well put us in some type of an armed conflict. Deployed troops. And he reinstated the Remain in Mexico policy for asylum seekers and suspended the CBP-1 app. He suspended the U.S. refugee admissions program, affecting 1,660 Afghans awaiting resettlement. He ordered measures to end birthright citizenship. This one here will likely face legal challenges. It is something that is outlined in the 14th Amendment. It also targeted international cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. Yeah, all of these things can lead to some type of military action. But we continue talking about President Donald Trump's executive orders. Under the energy and environment description, Trump declared a national emergency and expedited fossil fuel drilling, particularly in Alaska. He withdrew the U.S. from the Paris Climate Agreement, reversing Biden's re-entry. So during the first Trump term, we saw America being removed from the Paris Climate Agreement. Biden gets in, he re-enters, and now Trump has removed. So it is this seesaw that may happen every 4 years in the foreseeable future, assuming that it switches to Democrat in 2028. Additionally, Donald Trump paused offshore wind leasing and revoked another Biden-era clean energy initiative. So, reversing a lot of that stuff. You did it. I don't like that. I'm going to change it. How old are we? Additionally, Donald Trump, in his executive order sweep, diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? That was hit. So, the diversity, the equity, and the long villainized transgender rights. Now, when it comes to a lot of these issues, I don't think that folks are monolithic. Whether you're Democrat or Republican, you can be at various points on the issue of transgender rights. Could agree, could disagree, could not give a, could think that it's the most important issue facing Americans right now. We have folks that are all over the spectrum with regards to this topic. So Trump defined gender as strictly male or female, barring federal funds for gender transition services. Directed federal facilities to, they are federal, the federal facilities. They want folks segregated by the biological sex. So what you were at birth. He's directed the federal facilities, jails, to, separate by biological sex. So, this is something that the right has really beefed up the focus on. They've hyper-focused on this, at least since 2021. The government and just the bureaucracy is going to be overhauled. This is Project 2025. Remember Project 2025 he said he knew nothing about? He really will say anything, and some of his supporters will just defend it. But he has reinstated a hiring freeze for federal positions, except for national security roles. Established the Department of Government Efficiency, granting Elon Musk authority to recommend cuts. He has signed an executive order, and this order on civic architecture, promoting traditional designs for federal buildings. Yeah, and these are just within the first few days. There are probably going to be more. So Donald Trump's executive orders continues the pardons and legal actions. So, we got to discuss everything, and we will do that. I am not an information snob. I will provide information, and we will define the things that some folks may not be familiar with. The Justice Department defines a pardon as an act of forgiveness that removes certain legal consequences of the conviction. Presidents can issue pardons for federal convictions, including those from military courts. So, what were the executive orders as it relates to the pardons? So, Donald Trump pardoned approximately 1,500 individuals convicted or charged for the January 6th Capitol riot. He ended federal cases targeting Trump supporters, calling it a measure against the weaponization of law enforcement. Now, what I find to be so interesting, I find this to be so interesting. Now, let's stay for a minute on the topic of the pardons. Right? I thought that Trump and some of his MAGA supporters said that the January 6th Capitol riot was really Antifa or Black Lives Matter or FBI agents. So why did Trump pardon them? Right? If that's who it was. Because, as you well know, that's not who it was. But I digressed. Donald Trump's executive orders continue. This series along the lines of economic measures. He signed a symbolic memo aimed at reducing inflation by deregulating oil and gas industries. He paused a TikTok ban for 75 days to negotiate a U.S.-based buyer for the app. Now, let's keep in mind, Donald Trump was the one who initiated the ban. He did. And folks may have a bad memory about this, and I want to stay on this for a moment. So, he issued an executive order to suspend the TikTok ban. This executive order gives TikTok somewhat of a reprieve. And, it's interesting because, like I said, he was the one that was pushing this whole thing. TikTok's China-based parent company, ByteDance, was supposed to find a U.S. buyer or be banned on January 19th. Trump's order gives ByteDance more time to find a buyer. Trump says that, I guess I have a warm spot for TikTok. I thought this was such a security risk, right? China bad. Trump has nearly 15 million followers on TikTok since he joined it last year. He has credited the trend-setting TikTok as helping him gain more traction among young voters. Yet its 170 million U.S. users could not access TikTok for more than 12 hours between Saturday night and Sunday morning passed. Platform went offline before the ban, which was approved by Congress and additionally upheld by the U.S. Supreme Court, took effect. So as you can see, Trump's words have no merit. He'll say something is a threat, then if they like him, it's not a threat, even though everyone else says it is a threat, and he doesn't care. It is interesting. It is interesting. So after Trump promised he would pause the ban Monday this week, TikTok restored access for its existing users. But Google and Apple, so the iOS store and the Android store, still have not reinstated TikTok to their app stores. So if you already had TikTok downloaded on your device, you were good. But if you got a new phone and you weren't able to do this transfer, you have to go to the app store to buy or I'm sorry, to download the app, then you're going to have some issues because it is not on the Android or Apple store. Business leaders, lawmakers, Legal scholars and influencers who make money on TikTok are watching to see how Trump tries to resolve this regulatory, legal, financial, geopolitical issue with his signature. So how did this TikTok ban come about? TikTok's app allows users to create and watch short form videos. It broke new ground by operating with an algorithm that fed viewers recommendations based on their viewing habits. But concerns about its potential to serve as a tool for China to manipulate and spy on Americans predate Trump's first presidency. Yeah. Now, in 2020, Trump issued executive orders banning dealings with ByteDance and the owners of the Chinese messaging app WeChat. Courts ended up blocking the orders, but less than a year ago, Congress overwhelmingly passed a law citing national security concerns to ban TikTok unless ByteDance sold it to an approved buyer. Now, the law, which went into force on Sunday, allows for fines of up to $5,000 per TikTok user against major mobile app stores. So you can see this is very serious monetary penalties for app stores, so they're not trying to touch it. Now, Apple and Google and internet hosting services like Oracle all could be fined severely if they continue to distribute TikTok to U.S. users beyond the deadline for ByteDance's divestment. So that date has come and gone. Trump said on Sunday that he had asked TikTok U.S. service providers to continue supporting the platform and app while he prepared to sign an executive order to stop the ban for now. The order will also confirm that there will be no liability for any company that helped keep TikTok from going dark before my order, Trump said on his networking site. So the law that Congress passed and the now former President Joe Biden signed in April allowed for a 90-day extension if there had been progress toward a sale before the statute's effective date. Less certain is whether that provision can be applied retroactively. So that is one of the things that folks are worried about. Executive orders cannot override existing laws. So we need to understand that. It's not clear that the new president has the authority to issue a 90-day extension of a law that's already gone into effect. So we have that, right? Some of the things that Donald Trump did not think about. So we have the whole ByteDance debacle. Trump said on Monday that he is looking to have the U.S. government broker a deal for 50% control of TikTok, adding that every rich person has called him about acquiring the social media platform. Like he can buy. Like what? This is crazy. This is crazy. And it says that I think that the U.S. should be entitled to get half of TikTok. And congratulations, TikTok has a good partner, and that would be worth, could be $500 billion. Trump said the numbers are crazy, but it's worthless without a U.S. buyer. So we have this to look out for potential legal obstacles, and there there's that. Which companies are deciding whether to trust Trump's assurances? There have been so many questions on how companies like Oracle and others are powering TikTok's servers to stay online, while others like Apple and Google have made the app unavailable for new users to download. Oracle in 2020 announced that it had a 12.5% stake in TikTok Global after securing its business as the app's cloud technology provider. So they have a 12.5% stake in the global company. So that's outside of the U.S., inside of the U.S., and so the entire company that operates in several countries. So we're going to continue to see what's going to happen here. I think that the Trump administration is making this up as they go along. They don't even know what. It's all a money grab. Anytime they can grab some money, it is all about the money grab. So additionally, President Trump's executive orders, we're still on the topic of economic measures, announced by Trump plans to impose tariffs on Canada and Mexico starting February 2025. None of these things are lowering the price of eggs. I thought that's why Donald Trump was elected, right? They said that we want to lower the price of eggs. I can't even make an omelet. Can we get Trump in here? Trump has signed 100 executive orders on his first day of office, none of which lowers the cost of eggs. None of these executive orders that Trump signed lowers housing or healthcare costs. Now, he did, however, get himself $40 billion? $40 billion richer last week. So there's that. Y'all got played. Expect a clown, or let me say this. Elected clown, expect a circus. Elect a criminal, expect some crimes. I mean, that's what it is. The combined net worth of Trump's small circles of inauguration attendees was over $1 trillion. Remember that when Trump said, "I am your voice," this is who he was talking to. This is who he was talking to. I'm just saying. Somebody explain to me why the name of a mountain in Alaska is even remotely on the top 10,000 issues facing this country. Who's that for? Who is that for? So we're continuing. Your man Diamond K in here, of course, the Diamond K Show, OnFireBroadcasting.com, the DiamondKShow.com. Donald Trump's executive orders, the list continues. Couple of the notable orders we've been going through. Of course, we're not going to name all 100, but we've been going through several notable ones. Couple of others. Resumed federal executions by removing the moratorium established in 2021. So they're going to be back to executing folks. And signed a symbolic action like renaming Denali to Mount McKinley and requiring flags to be flown at full height on his inauguration day. He launched his administration with a lot of executive orders that target immigration, energy, the federal bureaucracy, and those 1,500 pardons for rioters. And it's funny because he's going to claim and act like he backs the blue, but he pardoned folks who beat police officers. We posted a picture of an officer on the ground being beaten by some of these Trump supporters. And the caption said that everybody in this picture was pardoned by Donald Trump except one person. And that person was the police officer who was being beaten. I don't want to hear how Trump backs the blue. He does not back the blue. How can he back the blue? And of course, when we say the blue, we're talking about police officers. I thought he said that he backed the blue. What happened to that? What happened to that? It is disgusting. It is disgusting. So we're going to continue to look at the, rollouts, these early actions that Donald Trump has taken. And some folks, in their way to defend this Project 2025 agenda, they'll say things like, well, he told you what he was going to do. Well, when we talk about revoking or rolling back DEI, Donald Trump revoked civil rights protections for race, religion, national origin, and gender. This is sure to be legally challenged. But for people who were previously unclear, now you know. Now you know. Because a lot of folks will say, I didn't know what this is. I didn't know what DEI was. Or they'll say all types of things. This is the golden age America that Donald Trump's talking about. When he says make America great again, he's referring to the time when the civil rights protections for race and religion and national origin and gender weren't in effect. That is what he's talking about. So we use all these buzzwords, we need to be mindful of what's happening. It's shameful, these things. The black Trump supporters, the Republican, black Republicans. Bravo. Great job. Great job you've done supporting this. He's making a lot of moves and making America great for who? Making America great for who? Some folks are happy about these things, but understand, it hasn't even been a week. Everything has not hit you yet. But it is going to. It is going to. And, I think that we need to broadcast and discuss this and other actions that the Trump administration attempts to take. We have to talk about these things. The Constitution, if that's still even going to be a thing. Many of you did not listen. Many of you non-voting mofos did not listen when we were telling you about Project 2025. And here it is, unfolding, step by step. But of course, your Cheeto leader said he didn't know anything about it. But it's unfortunate. Democrats got outplayed, let me say that. MAGA supporters are being played. There were a lot of moves that Biden and Biden administration should have made that they did not. But we're going to continue to see how this unfolds. I am going to be here talking to you about it, and we're going to be discussing it. But I'm not going to, I'm definitely a I told you so type of person with regards to this. Many of these moves are going to be challenged in court, but we're still going to talk about it. So definitely let me know your thoughts on these early actions by President Donald Trump. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Many folks do. Many folks think that this stuff makes sense. But you have not seen anything yet. You have not seen anything yet, because this debacle is still unfolding. We're going to do this. We're going to take a quick break. This is the Diamond K Show. Make sure you're following us on youtube.com/djdiamondk. Of course, we broadcast this program daily, 6 p.m. ONFIRE-broadcasting.com. Anywhere you get your podcast, just search the Diamond K Show. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back with more after this. Welcome back. You man Diamond K in here. OnFireBroadcasting.com, TheDiamondKShow.com. Make sure you're following us on YouTube.com/djdiamondk. Of course, I'm here daily, 6 p.m. Now, there are a lot of products from China, from Mexico, from Canada. Some products that are at risk from Trump's tariff plans. Many of the items that U.S. shoppers browse and buy in retail aisles come from faraway factories or farms. Now, many folks didn't know that. A reality that could soon force many consumers to change their buying habits. We are here. We're at that point. Many people have very little concept or understanding of just how many items could see price increases due to the duties, due to the tariffs, from avocados to children's toys to chocolate and cars. These proposed tariffs on products from China and Mexico and Canada, who ironically are our three largest trading partners, would likely affect U.S. consumers the most. The average everyday buyer, the prices of items would be impacted if this tariff comes to pass. So from China, we get a lot of sneakers, furniture, and toys. You got kids, you got grandkids, all that kind of stuff affected. Sneakers. Let's talk about sneakers for a minute. Nearly 100% of all footwear is imported to the U.S., according to the U.S. International Trade Commission. About 37% of footwear imports came from China in 2023. So, sneakers are already expensive. And with these proposed Trump tariffs on China, sneakers affected. Additionally, furniture. China is the largest furniture exporter on the globe. According to data from the Home Furnishing Association, in 2023, $32.4 billion in furniture was imported into the U.S., 29% of which came from China. So these are all things that we have to consider. So there would be a price increase on furniture. So we talk about toys. Around 80% of toys imported into the U.S. came from China. 80%. And the cost of toys made outside of the U.S. could increase by up to 56% under Trump's proposals. And this is according to the Toy Association. So let's talk about Mexico. Mexico, we get a lot of cars. We get a lot of beer. We get avocados. Cars, most major automakers have factories in the United States, but they still heavily rely on imports from other countries, including Mexico. Now, nearly every major automaker operating in the country has at least one plant in Mexico. Let me say that again. Nearly every major automaker in the U.S. has at least one plant in Mexico. So this includes the top 6 selling automakers that accounted for nearly 70% of all U.S. sales in 2024. So that means that they're making things at one place and shipping them to another place. You've seen that, where they've mostly assembled the car and they ship it to the United States to put one small part on the car, and then they try to say, a portion of this made in America type of thing, So you have that. Now, beer. Mexico is also home to the top selling beer in the United States. In 2023, Constellation Brands, Modelo, took over the crown from Bud Light. Constellation owns Corona and Pacifico. All of the company's beer brands are imported from Mexico. So this is going to increase the price of things that tap in the little bars and all that. I mean, this is what y'all want, right? This is what you said you wanted with your vote, or staying home. Either way. Avocados. In the U.S., avocados are grown in California, Florida, and Hawaii. But roughly 90% of the avocados eaten in the U.S. are grown in Mexico, according to the United States Department of Agricultural data. So the agricultural data tells us this. Now, as far as Canada, we get cars, coats, French fries. Cars. Now, we have 5 automakers: Ford, GM, Toyota Motor, Honda Motor, Stellantis. They produced 1.54 million light-duty vehicles last year in Canada for U.S. consumers. So that's going to be affected. Prices are going to be affected. It's impossible that they don't. And they're not going to go down. They're going to go up. French fries. Canada imports, or exports rather, roughly $40.5 billion in agricultural goods to the United States annually, including $1.7 billion in frozen French fries and other frozen potato products, according to Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada, which is the country's counterpart to the Department of Agriculture. So prices are going to be affected. Frozen fries, you know how many, I mean, we eat so many fries here in America. But yeah, I don't know how or why folks think that this is a joke. I don't know how or why folks think that this is somehow, it's just so much more than a political issue. Donald Trump has rescinded Biden's action to lower prescription drug costs for Americans on Medicare and Medicaid. If there's no other way to spin it, that means that more money out of pocket for seniors and families, ordinary people, are on the horizon. So clearly it's Big Pharma first. Clearly. I don't think that presidents, presidents should not be allowed to pardon people they egged on into committing their crimes. It is not forgiveness, it's lawlessness. But that's what we got. That's what we got. In the space of half a day, the new administration has trashed the Constitution, subverted the independence of the Department of Justice, granted a broad amnesty to traitors, abandoned the global community on climate and public health, and launched a wide-ranging attack on minority rights. That about sums it up. I mean, anyone who ever again suggests that the Republican Party is the party of the police or the party of law and order should be laughed out of the room. There has never been anything like this before in modern U.S. history. The president pardoning people who we all saw on live TV assaulting the police. Let's think about that for a moment. Let's think about that. Did one of those executive orders lower the price of eggs? I was in the supermarket earlier today. Or has it stopped the war in Ukraine? I was sure waiting for the executive order to lower the price of groceries. The price is going to go up. There has been no peace. I tell you what else is going up. The subscription price for Netflix. We're going to talk about that in a minute. If I recall clearly, Trump said that he would have the agreement done within 24 hours. 24 hours of him winning the election. 24 hours when he becoming president-elect. 24 hours of becoming president. None of which has happened. None of which has happened. Wake up, America. Lowering the price of eggs, making your life better was never really on the agenda. You all were just a means to end, and you've been completely blindsided. He will continue to line his own pockets and line the pockets of his billionaire boys club. The circus has begun. But he said that he would lower the price of eggs, and groceries, and gas on day one. But groceries and gas is higher now. What is this, like day 3, day 4? But he did pardon some of the most violent criminals convicted of seditious conspiracy. And it's not like it's trespassing or assault. He literally pardoned people convicted of conspiring to overthrow or destroy the United States government by force. Let's think about that. The price of insulin will go up. Everything Trump wants to do will hurt people. Nothing will help. Nothing is beneficial to the people. Told you all along. And you did not listen. He said that digging on protected federal land would help bring down inflation. He said, drill, baby, drill. And he thought that that was going to bring down inflation. He's not trying to bring down anything. Said that he was going to lower prices on the first day. He never will. The pardons for the January 6th rioters, that was his priority. Yeah. It is really a sad thing. It is really a sad thing. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Of course, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, Threads, Blue Sky, at The Diamond K Show. We're talking about this stuff. In Baltimore, they're going to be looking at the legal options for protecting residents from possible ICE raids. That is something that a lot of locales are concerned about. But Mayor Brandon Scott in Baltimore said that they are exploring legal options to protect city residents. So, I don't know what those options will be. They are taking a more of a wait and see approach here in Baltimore. Kind of see what's going to happen. Mayor Brandon Scott said that he has not received any directives from the federal government. However, he said if he is arrested for not complying, the city administrator would take over. We will be doing all of the things we have been doing with our federal partners. But again, I will not direct my police officers from taking guns off the street, taking murderers off the street. Mayor Scott said if someone is living in Baltimore legally and they are a criminal, they are already a part of the city's focus. We will have to continue to work with ICE and our federal partners on folks who are breaking the law and helping them from removing people from the streets of Baltimore, period. That has never been an issue for us and never will. And so this, of course, comes after Donald Trump's administration directed federal prosecutors to investigate and potentially prosecute state and local officials who don't cooperate with plans to carry out the largest mass deportation campaign in U.S. history. So folks are lining up on whatever side of this issue they are on, and they are, in many instances, looking at their legal options. So in many instances, there's going to be a fight on this matter. I mean, because it's one of those things that we've never seen before. So yes, folks are definitely going to have some issues. President Trump's executive orders and his agenda are targeting the immigrant community, and it has many folks concerned. We're going to see about this. I don't know how this goes, but I do know that he said a lot of things, Donald Trump, when coming, I guess when he was campaigning. And many of these things related to immigration are important for both sides of the aisle. Very important for them. It's a big part of how and why he was elected. So you want to talk about things that he's going to continue to do. That is going to be one of them. Definitely. We're talking about Netflix. Netflix is introducing Netflix Bites, which is a themed dining experience set to open on February 20th. So this Netflix Bites is at the MGM Grand Hotel. That opens up February 20th. The restaurant will offer breakfast, lunch, and dinner featuring dishes and drinks inspired by popular Netflix shows such as Stranger Things, Bridgerton, Squid Game, and the Chef Table's menu. They are going to include things like Eleven's Fried Feast chicken and waffle sliders served with either Hawkins or upside down style, a Bridgerton Regency tea with a 3-tiered service of sandwiches, scones, and pastries, a Spanish-inspired La Casa del Sangria. This is a cocktail served in a lockbox, and a spicy Bloody Mary inspired by Too Hot to Handle. So you're interested in this? Are you going out? Somebody said, does it come with ads? Just to see how cheap it will be. And so, yeah. I mean, Netflix got the best shows and the best streaming platform. Are y'all ready for that combo? Someone said online about this. Eric says, they doing everything except keeping my monthly subscription cheap. Well, you know they ain't going to do that. You know that they ain't going to do that. Netflix. They are wild and out of control. Wild and out of control. Many folks still watch Netflix, and that's a good thing. Nothing wrong with that. Yep, nothing wrong with that. Netflix also is making a lot of money. And, many Republicans will talk about this thing that does not work, which is called trickle-down economics, right? Trickle-down economics is not we're talking about what is not a thing. Trickle-down economics is not a thing. Netflix and other corporations like it are doing just fine. In fact, U.S. corporate profits have been hitting record highs. Trump's first batch of tax cuts paved the way for them to siphon money from you and keep more of the spoils. The last thing they need is another tax break. That's the last thing they need. But it seems like they're going to be getting it, Seems like they're going to be getting it. It is so interesting. Many folks just don't have a clue. Many folks don't have a clue as to the seriousness of this. So 5 years of Netflix U.S. profits in the tune of $15.1 billion. 5 years of Netflix executive pay. How much is that? $652 million. 5 years of taxes paid by Netflix, $236 million. Now, in the 5 years after Trump's tax cuts, Netflix paid its top executives 3 times what it paid in federal income tax. And yesterday, Netflix announced that it was raising prices again. No surprise there, right? No surprise there. A couple more topics that I want to hit. I just when I stop and think about the difference between Trump and Joe Biden, Fox News posted a copy of the letter that Joe Biden left Donald Trump at the White House. And it says as follows: Dear President Trump, as I take leave of this sacred office, I wish you and your family all the best in the next 4 years. The American people and people around the world look to this house for steadiness in the inevitable storms of history. And my prayer is that the coming years will be a time of prosperity, peace, and grace for our nation. May God bless you and guide you as He has blessed and guided our beloved country since our founding. Joe Biden, January 20th, 2025. I thought that was very classy. And that's how he rolls. That's how Joe Biden rolls. President claims that he wants an apology from Bishop Marion. Bishop Marion asked Trump to have grace and mercy. Folks are acting like she did something so bad. She said that there are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families, some who fear for their lives. She didn't tell any lies. That's all true. This is a prayer, mind you. And this came one day after Trump issued a slate of executive orders, which we have talked about throughout this show today, including one which has a section dedicated to recognizing that women are biologically distant from men, one that declared a national emergency at the country's southern border. And of course, we remember Donald Trump issued several other related to immigration, including one attempting to do away with birthright citizenship, which is granted in the Constitution. Bishop Marion challenged these orders and much of the rhetoric that has surrounded them. Donald Trump said she was nasty in tone and not compelling or smart. Apart from her inappropriate statements, the service was very boring and uninspiring. Right. I listened to her remarks and I thought that she hit an excellent tone. I hope she does not apologize. Hopefully she does not apologize. Do you think that Bishop Marion should apologize? I hope that you're saying no. But you never know. Sadly, a teen fatally shot a female student and himself at Antioch High School in Nashville. So, that was terrible. It is happening more and more often. Folks are desensitized to it at this point. When you hear that a person, a student, was killed at a high school, it just, for me, it doesn't seem like folks are having, it doesn't seem like it's having the same effect on folks anymore. And this is terrible. We have normalized this. Female student was killed and another student was wounded Wednesday in this shooting that took place in a Nashville high school cafeteria. Now, if you remember, if you're saying, doesn't shooting at a school in Nashville or Tennessee sound familiar? This is nearly 2 years after another deadly school shooting in the city ignited an emotional debate about gun control in Tennessee. You remember that? 17-year-old shooter who was also a student at Antioch later shot and killed himself with a handgun, according to the police officer spokesman at a news conference. So we have that. School has about 2,000 students and is located in Antioch, a neighborhood about 10 miles southwest of downtown Nashville. Yeah. It is not cool. It is not cool. Last thing before we get out of here, I wanted to take some time to acknowledge the passing of Barry Michael Cooper, New Jack City, Sugar Hill, and Above the Rim writer, passing away at the age of 66. He also wrote episodes of Netflix She's Gotta Have It series. Cooper died in Baltimore, Maryland His friend, the writer and filmmaker and former The Village Voice colleague, Nelson George, confirmed today on his Substack. Cause of death not immediately known. Started his career as a journalist in the 1980s, writing important pieces for The Village Voice and Spin magazine. Cooper transitioned to writing screenplays, drawing on the crime and culture of his native New York. He penned the crime dramas that were definitive black films for the 1990s, became hugely influential on hip-hop music and culture. He was born in Harlem, grew up in the Little Washington Heights neighborhood. He often spoke about Harlem's rich literary, musical, fashion, sports, culture, history. But it was also the ruinous impact of crack cocaine that really made an impact on his films. He says that in an interview in 2007 that Harlem is split between two periods, BC and AC, before crack and after crack. There was a profound change when that drug hit Harlem. It was like that in Baltimore as well. So he is also credited with creating the phrase New Jack Swing. Wrote a piece about R&B producer and singer Teddy Riley in October of 1987. The piece was entitled Teddy Riley's New Jack Swing, Harlem Gangsters Raise a Genius. So really talked about the rise of Teddy Riley, also coining the term New Jack Swing that defined the genre of music associated with Teddy Riley and his collaborators, as well as from music journalism. Cooper also made his name with investigative reporting. 1986, Cooper was behind the feature story Crack, a Tiffany drug at Woolworth prices. This was in Spin magazine, one of the first national reports on the devastation and the ravaging effects of the crack epidemic. 1987, he wrote a piece, New Jack City Eats Its Young, for The Village Voice, a searing piece that chronicled the rise of street drug dealers in Detroit who had reached millionaire status from the crack epidemic. So, New Jack City, just such a classic film. 1994's Sugar Hill. Something that, I have to watch that again. I don't know it as well as I know New Jack City. Cooper's third film, Above the Rim, was released in theaters a few months after Sugar Hill, and it was met with a much more positive reception. The critics were not kind to Sugar Hill. Many feelings that the film was too derivative of New Jack City, but it did decent at the box office. Maybe it should have been maybe you should have crafted it into a part 2, New Jack City. That would have been interesting. You remember Above the Rim, starring Tupac, Dwayne Martin, Marlon Wayans, Leon. Film was about a rising basketball talent and his relationship with the drug gangs of Harlem. It is considered the final film in Cooper's Harlem trilogy and was also a box office success. After the initial burst of success, it would be some years before Cooper was able to make his next film project. Now relocated to Baltimore in 2005. He made his directorial debut in the indie Blood on the Walls. His last project was the 2017 TV series adaptation of Spike Lee's She's Gotta Have It for Netflix. Cooper worked as a producer on the show and also wrote 3 episodes. Definitely want to say rest in peace to this very talented individual, Barry Michael Cooper of New Jack City, Sugar Hill, and Above the Rim fame, passing away in Baltimore at 66 years old. Definitely let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, Threads, Blue Sky, at The Diamond K Show. Of course, on youtube.com/djdiamondk. If you're not subscribed, make sure you give us a subscription. It does not cost you anything. You can also check me out daily, 6 p.m. ONFIRE-Broadcasting.com, anywhere you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Audible. We are everywhere. Just search The Diamond K Show. You want to support this independent machine, you can do that. Visit ONFIRE-Broadcasting.com/support. You can help us out. You can also get a subscription, become a member, get exclusive episodes, bonus episodes. It's all of that. You can get all of that. ONFIRE-Broadcasting.com, TheDiamondKShow.com. Of course, I will see you guys tomorrow. It's been real.